my god, it's finally here. Welcome to Redefine Our Prime, and we are going to do the Game of Thrones series finale review video for our first video here on YouTube. My name's Chris.
I'm Ron. I'm Nick.
And we're going to fucking jump right into it. So we have a lot of characters we want to discuss. We're going to go through each of the points. We're going to try to agree or disagree with each other. We haven't talked since the episode ended, right? We want this to be all real, just how we feel in the moment, not, oh, Ron said this, so I'm going to agree with it, or Nick said that, I want to agree with it. No, I'm going to say how I feel, they're going to say how they feel, and we're just going to run through. You guys ready to start?
Let's do it, sir.
All right, so we're going to jump into the person with the shirt that I'm wearing. Start off with Daenerys Targaryen. So that was one of my favorite characters throughout the entire show. Was one of my favorite characters throughout the entire show, and in the finale, I get the whole last episode Belle's thing, right? She snapped, she had her issues, but I did not feel like Dany being stabbed with a dagger, that was enough for me, right? I assumed she was going to die. I didn't think she was going to end up on the throne, even though before the season started, I had her being the queen on all of my Game of Thrones pools.
She was technically dead for about a minute.
For a minute. I did not... I'm okay with her dying. I thought that she deserved more throughout the season, but I'm not okay with it being a little stab with the dagger. If anyone reads the books or knows anything about, there's a lot of like the prince that was promised, princess that was promised theories and stuff like that. Nothing really panned out. Just the simple stab in the chest. Death for me wasn't enough. What do you think, Ron?
Okay, well, my problem with Daenerys goes back a little bit, but definitely last episode is when I started to just resent the character. I loved Daenerys. My fiance loved Daenerys. She was Daenerys for Halloween a few years ago.
You were Jon.
Yeah, and I was Jon, yeah. We actually called that before it even happened on the show, so, you know. But anyway, I'm fine with her being the Mad Queen. I know people have said this to death. I'm fine with that happening, but it was not earned. They could have played that out for 2 seasons.
Yep.
She could have had a dissent. I mean, I know that she said some things and she was upset about whatever, but you can't go from A, B, all the way to D. You need a C, and they were missing C, okay? And I just thought that, like, you can't go from the jump to killing your enemies and saving innocents to just, like, killing innocents. It just didn't make any sense. She wouldn't make a decision that drastic in what they gave us, I feel.
Yeah.
And so basically, she was dead for me in that episode, okay? To me, she was dead. I thought her character was completely ruined. And then in this episode, they could have had a whole season of her being queen, the Mad Queen, if they did it right.
Sure.
But you know, Dumb and Dumber, that's some YouTube guy coined that. It's not mine. I'm not stealing that. But you know who I'm talking about. They wanted only 6 episodes. They didn't want another season. HBO would have given them unlimited resources, and they screwed that up. So yeah, I'm not happy at all with her. Yeah, no, and neither is Emilia Clarke. You can watch videos with her. She's not happy either. What did you think?
I mean, I'll agree with the both of you. I really thought that they rushed through this very crucial point in her development as a character. And one of the things that really stuck out to me, especially with tonight, was Tyrion, when he was in his jail cell, I guess we'll call it, meeting and talking with Jon, is he had that moment where he kept saying, he would say, oh, Daenerys killed the masters in Slaver's Bay. She killed the Dothraki Khals, who were all seen as evil.
But they were bad men.
Yes, they were bad men.
But once again, she's fine with, like, the jump.
Right.
Where was the jump?
Yeah,
sorry, Nick, go ahead.
So I think it was very quick. Also the fact that King's Landing has been such a heavy focal point for the entire series. Whereas whenever we saw Dany across the Narrow Sea, it was always just her there. Whereas when we get to see King's Landing, it's like, oh, we're seeing it with Tyrion, with Jaime, with Cersei, with so many other people that the city itself became known as like almost another character for us, versus some of the cities like Meereen and Qarth, which were kind of just like backdrops. So to see her jump into that Mad Queen persona and torch basically a character in the city that we know, full of varying degrees of people, is just so drastic and sudden that it kind of catches you off guard. So that's what I would say with agreeing with Ron, but also with Chris. The fact that her death tonight just seems so abrupt and so out of nowhere, for me at least. I mean, obviously you have the idea that it's coming, but yeah, I feel like they could have drawn it out a little more with Jon.
Do you mind if I give an example of how they could have?
Yeah.
Okay, so the biggest problem I had, as I said, was that decision to just kill innocents. Like I don't believe she made that decision.
Let's try to stick on the series finale, not.
No, I understand, but just one last thing: those dragon slaying crossbows, those could have been hidden throughout the city, and then she could have had to have made the decision: do I burn the city down, or do I not? And that would have been a decision I would have believed she could make. You know what I mean? Not for no reason. Like, I'm gonna burn the city because I gotta kill those things. You know?
Scorpion ballistas.
Yeah, that's something I would have believed in. But you know what? That's just my take on Daenerys. And you know, in this episode, yeah, like I agree with you. Her death was a little anticlimactic. And
so she is dead, right? And that did happen. And I thought it was gonna happen. Not very happy with the little dagger stab to the chest that while her and Jon were kissing. But something I was pleased about is Drogon burning down the Iron Throne. I thought that scene was awesome. I thought Jon was going to get torched for a second there, but I was happy where it looked like the dragon was basically saw Daenerys die, was with her the entire time, where all she cared about was getting that, and it was basically like the Iron Throne is the reason why she's dead, so I'm going to kill the Iron Throne. The whole like nudging of Daenerys, you could see the bond that was there, right, and how he picked her up in his talon or foot, whatever you want to call it.
The shot with the wings was kind of cool,
and flew away. Oh, that was a great sort. Some cinematography that was great, right? When the first time you get that whole like Star Wars Empire vibe there. When Daenerys' first scene walking out and you see Drogon's wings behind, that was such a great shot.
It gave me some promise, but then that soon went away.
Yeah, but again, so Daenerys unfortunately is gone. Not pleased with the way they took her character and took her character out, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So you guys ready to go to the next one?
I could talk about her all day, but go ahead, continue.
Well, maybe we'll do a Daenerys alone video at another time, but we're going to try to, move on with this. So, next character we're going to discuss is Tyrion Lannister. So, I mean, Ron's wearing the Lannister shirt, so why don't we let Ron start this one?
Okay, well, as you guys know, the Lannisters are always my favorite house. I mean, it's never a dull moment when a Lannister's on the screen. You got to agree with that, right?
There were some dull rocks, though, in that one scene.
There were some dull
I'm
rocks,
sorry.
yeah. But I thought this is the scene, probably the only scene I really, really liked from the episode was when he found Jaime and Cersei. It was just like seeing those two characters just under rocks, just dead, and then him like knowing that Daenerys did that, and I thought that his acting was very good. He didn't even say a word. He didn't have to say a word, and I'm really happy with that. I'm not happy with his character overall in the last few seasons, really. I think he kind of ended in a good place. I don't like how the show ended, period, but I think he ended in a good place. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. And you know what? That scene with Daenerys when he gave up his hand pin, that was kind of cool too. Mm-hmm. I mean, that took guts. I mean, you just saw what she did.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about Tyrion right now. But yeah, only survivor of my favorite house.
He's the tallest Lannister.
Yeah,
it's official.
Nick?
So I will say, and as it's been throughout the entire series, is Peter Dinklage just gives an unmatchable performance as Tyrion, to the point where I think he's without a doubt my favorite actor to watch in the show.
Oh, amazing.
Not so much character necessarily, but definitely the best acted performance in the entire show. Mm-hmm. And like Ron mentioned, the scene where he discovers Jaime and Cersei is just so powerful, and he really just puts it all out there, and it makes you really feel so sympathetic for him. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important at a time where you have this character who you followed for so long going so quickly, and you talk about this with Danny, but going so quickly back and forth between emotions and loyalties. And I think just the fact that Dinklage is able to personify this through, like Ron said, no dialogue during that scene.
Yep.
Is you immediately pick up exactly what he's feeling, and you understand it.
Yeah, that was probably, like I said, the only scene I truly liked, really.
And in the end, he did end in a very good spot. Not necessarily the spot that he wanted, but a spot that I think he will benefit from, and the realm itself, to quote Varys, will survive with him in that position.
Yeah, like you said, I liked how they were bantering at the small council table.
Yes.
That was cool. That was nice. It was a cool ending for those characters, but this, we'll get to the ending of the show later.
When you think of, so to kind of bounce off that really quick before I give my overall Tyrion final episode talk, was one of my favorite parts of Tyrion's entire character arc was when he was running the kingdom for that season under Joffrey, right? Like he was kind of running the whole show, and he flourished doing that, right? It was great to see, and it's nice to kind of see him get a chance to go back into that role at the end there. But just overall for this episode, to tag on to the guys, like this season in general, some of the biggest moments where you really feel it were Peter Dinklage's performances that he was giving, like when he was in Jaime's tent last episode, and this episode finding the bodies, just very powerful. Him walking up to Daenerys and defying her after she just burned hundreds of thousands of innocent people, saying like, I didn't sign up for this. Showed he had the balls. He's willing to die for what he believes in. He admitted multiple times this episode that he was wrong. Ends up convincing Jon to kill Daenerys, so he did some good there. And then when he's sitting in the chains and he's in front of that council, right? And he's the reason why everyone listened to him. He stood up in there in front of all the most powerful people in Westeros and was able to convince them to elect the person we're going to talk about next as the next king, right? Yeah. So overall, again, I'm happy where Tyrion ended. The actor just did a fantastic job portraying him over the last couple seasons when he went through the whole Daenerys arc to land where he is today. I'm okay. I'm okay with Tyrion.
Okay.
Which brings us to the king.
Yes.
Bran, the three-eyed raven.
No, the
Bran the Broken.
Apparently.
Bran the Broken, the Creeping, the Lurking, the Memeing, Stark.
So, I will say, I think out of the three of us, I am, based on what I saw while we were watching, I think I am the most on board with this.
No, go ahead.
I really am. I think
agree to disagree.
Bran, that's totally fine.
Yep.
I think Bran is the best choice to rule the six kingdoms now. For a couple reasons. Number one, doesn't have to worry about influence because you know that he doesn't really want it. Like there's that moment where he's like, yeah, this is why I came all the way down here. But you know deep down he doesn't really want it. Number two, obviously the fact that as the Three-Eyed Raven, his life will last much longer than any reigning king or queen would have. And probably the most important is he's, I guess, burdened but also blessed with the knowledge of everything that has happened and even sprinkled about bits of what could potentially happen in the future. So the fact that he's able to surround himself with people like Tyrion and Davos and Sam and Brienne in the end just makes me happy because he knows that even though he's seen as like this very omniscient being, he still recognizes like I can't do this by myself. I still need these core essential players that have had just such great influences in the history of the show that we've seen. So I really am on board with it. I know there's been a lot of criticism that Bran's character over the past few seasons has been very wooden, and he's more like just an object or someone sitting there in the background. But I'm very happy with where it is.
So I know we have to leave Ron last for this.
Oh,
one.
yes.
So I'll jump in and say that Bran Stark, the three-eyed raven, that was what his entire character arc was over how many seasons to become this all-powerful, all-history figure in the world. So you would assume his powers and all that stuff would come in handy during episode 3, right? The battle against the dead. And all he did was go into a bunch of ravens. Didn't do anything. He was bait the whole time.
I'm going to go now.
Right, that was just kind of like, all right, so then what are you going to do? And then I think it was the next episode that saw, I think it was it Jon, or I forget who it was exactly, that said to him, oh, you should be the Lord of Winterfell. And he says, I don't really want things anymore. So he didn't want to be the Lord of Winterfell, which contradicts his statement, what do you think I've been waiting for this whole time? I didn't want Winterfell because I wanted to be the king of everything, motherfuckers. So,
Spot on.
And then he tells Jon, gets Sam to tell Jon that he's Aegon Targaryen, the rightful king. Nothing would have changed, really. The only reason he told Jon that was so that Jon would then tell Sansa, so that Sansa would then tell Tyrion, who would tell Varys, who would then show Daenerys that everyone's betraying her, to then murk Daenerys so that he could be he plotted this entire thing to get his broken ass on the throne? Wow. Like, look at that. He's been scheming this whole time. It wasn't Littlefinger we had to be worried about. It was Bran.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
But anyway, at the end of the day, from like an overall perspective, yes, it makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, Daenerys isn't the queen. She went mad. Unfortunately, Jon, we'll get to him later. So if you look at everybody else, Bran, he knows the history. He can last forever. He's not going to have any crazy heirs. I get it. It makes sense. So, sure. Ron.
I thought it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. You build up these character arcs for 10 years. Okay, it's a Game of Thrones. What you said, okay, maybe he was playing in some conspiracy theory like that, right? But I don't think they intended that. Okay.
Dude's a schemer.
He also is the only one that's been prepared to sit down in a throne for so long.
Damn!
So let's not forget that. He has been practicing for this for years.
He's been sitting this whole time scheming. Oh.
Don't give them that much credit. They did not plan
You never
that.
know.
They did not plan that.
D&D blowing our minds.
No.
Come on, Ron.
No. Okay. I thought it was horrendous. Okay. His whole arc, he doesn't want to rule. He's more than that. He's supposed to be this prophetic, is that even a word? Prophetic prophecy.
Sure.
He's got this, he's like the Oracle in the Matrix. That'd be like the Oracle in the Matrix somehow being the one. Would you like that if she all of a sudden just started throwing down with Agent Smith out of nowhere, Like, that's pretty much what they did to me when I saw that. I'll talk about Jon later because I'm going to wrap this in with Jon. But, what do you think I came all the way over here? It's like, when did you want to rule? Like, it sounds like he kind of wants to rule when he says something like that.
That's what I'm saying, man.
It was just so dumb. I mean, Jon could have
get to Jon later.
I know, but Jesus, like, you're supposed to be the three-eyed raven. Like, King Three-Eyed Raven? I thought he wasn't Bran Stark anymore. You can't call him Bran Stark. But I guess no. That's what all these freaking characters did. They all just reverted back into before their arcs, and that's what he did. He went from being the Three-Eyed Raven. I know a lot of people didn't like that. I didn't really have a problem with it, but I thought it could have been a lot cooler.
Well, they wrapped up the Night King so fast that they needed something else to do.
See, that's the thing. They shouldn't have wrapped up the Night King. They should have. That should have extended, I think, to this episode, or we should have had another season.
Yep.
His purpose was not to be king. I mean, that I just don't think was his purpose. I think that the king should be a man, like not like or a queen, whatever. I don't mean it like that. I meant like a mortal, like someone who thinks like a human. It's like cheating, Like, I don't know. I just thought it was so dumb. It came out of nowhere, Like, it kind of like Arya killing the Night King. I really didn't have a problem with that. I mean, my fiance loved it. But this was, I think, 10 times worse than all the people complaining about Arya killing the Night King. Like, Jon got robbed twice. We'll get to Jon, but he got robbed twice.
All right. You go, Bran? Yeah. All right, so let's move on to Brienne of Tarth. So I'll start with this character. There's not really much to say, right? I think that they wrapped her up pretty well. She's now going to lead the Kingsguard, and she was going through the book, right, and saw Jaime's bio that was basically like, he's a Kingslayer. And she wrote a really nice kind of like autobiography about his redemption, which at the end of the day, though, for his character arc, didn't really go anywhere because he just went and died with Cersei anyway. But at least in history of Westeros, he'll be known as more than the Kingslayer now. And I don't know, I'm okay with it. Nothing about Brienne's ending bothered me.
I personally thought she should have gone in episode 3. But if we're going to keep her around, I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, writing Jaime's book, okay, that's cool. But once again, should have gone in episode 3.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially if you're going to end up having Jaime go back to Cersei. Why not just...
We'll get there.
Have Brienne go and have that be the emotional goodbye that they needed.
Right.
But much better, you're right, from an emotional standpoint. If she died in the battle...
In his arms, I think it would have been a much more emotional send-off than how they did it.
And then him, without her, breaks down.
And that would justify him going back to Cersei, at least in the viewer's eyes.
Correct.
I
like that a lot better.
But for her in this episode, I really like how she didn't have any animosity or remorse. She seemed to kind of understand why he felt the need to go back to her, and she didn't really look down or be
it's fine.
Yeah. And it was fine. It was fine. Nothing really big to say about it. Just fine.
Next on the list is Sansa Stark, and now I have a request that Ron does his entire Sansa piece in the voice of Peter Baelish.
Sansa, I loved your mother more than you'll ever know. Sansa, I like to play a little game with myself. I like to think of everyone's worst intentions, and then I go with that. I love your mother, Sansa.
So, Ron, what do you think about Sansa's ending? The Queen of the North?
The Queen of the North. Okay, well... okay, I guess I didn't really have a problem with it. I mean, when Robb was King of the North, they had, like, the King of the North, the music, and it was epic. When Jon was king, we'll get to Jon, but when Jon was King of the North, that was amazing. But then for her, it's like, oh, crap, we only got 5 minutes left. Queen of the North! Cut to the next scene. Like, I felt like that was really rushed. If you're going to do that with her, they could have, once again, they should have had 10 episodes. Another season, for all I'd care, But yeah, I thought that was a little rushed. It's whatever, yeah. What do you think?
Probably my least favorite character on the show, I'm not going to lie. All of her motivations just seem so fake to me, but I mean, I guess that's what you get from learning from Littlefinger. But yeah, I just felt it was too... Yeah, I just felt it was too rushed. And they hinted at like that last bit of rebellious nature in her where she turned to Bran. She's just like, I can't. You're gonna be great, but I can't sit here and I'm just like, oh, come on, like, just go out, just end it. So, whatever, good for her. I mean,
Sixth Kingdom does not rule.
She has her own kingdom, whatever. We'll see how that goes.
The number 7.
But yeah.
7.
So do you think if everyone was like, oh, I think Sansa should be queen of everything, she would have been like, yes, but the
100%.
North should be independent.
No, she'd
be like,
hell
yeah. But she's like, wait, no one's voting for me? Ah, shit. Well, hey, the North has to be independent. Wait, don't get me wrong, though. She's been fighting for that for a while. I don't really have much to say about Sansa. Queen of the North, good for you.
She wanted to be queen, remember?
She wanted to be queen. She got to be queen. She's happy. She's been dying to be queen. She was pissed when Jon became king of the North. So at the end of the day, Sansa got what she wanted. Sansa won the Game of Thrones after everything which she went through. At the end, she became the queen of the North, protecting her people. She had the North's interests in mind the entire time. I think she'll be a great queen up there, and that's fine. Nothing really much else to say. The other Stark. Arya Stark. All right, Nick, you seem pretty excited.
Okay,
good.
So going from my least favorite character to by far my favorite character on the entire show, her arc has just been...
She was your least favorite character?
No, Sansa was my
Sansa. Oh,
Arya.
Gotcha.
She's had the greatest character arc over the entire show, I think. The way she left, just saying, basically, I'm not going back up north. That's not me. I want to go where no one's gone.
Well, it's because
hinting back to even something she said earlier in the season. She goes, "What's west of Westeros?"
Yep.
No one knows.
Well,
So,
I have wondered that
leaked
before.
In a new show called Arya the Explorer. It's going to be
love
all
it.
about her pirating adventures.
Would love it.
And
I'd
with
be
her
down.
friend Boots and Swiper No Swiping.
Yeah.
Sway.
Like
Sorry,
her
Nick,
dire
finish
wolf
your-
is sway.
finish
Yeah, I really like where she ended. Like Chris said, I would watch an entire separate spin-off series on just the adventures of Arya the Pirate.
That sounds great.
Me too. I mean, Arya, I loved Arya the entire time. She's great. The hero of Winterfell, the slayer of the Night King. Totally cool with her, sticking to her guns, not getting with Gendry, not becoming a lady. She's going off to have her own adventures to, go and find the things that no one else has found yet. No issues with Arya's wrap-up for me.
The only issue I have with Arya's wrap-up was it was basically season 4 all over again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, go, sorry.
Yeah, no, it was like season 4's ending all over again. It was like a repeat for me. Seen some horrible crap. Gonna move on. I didn't really have a problem where she like ended up. It just seemed repetitive. Like where she's on a boat again, going somewhere else. I don't know. It was okay. It was all right. I like Arya. Of course, she's not perfect, but yeah, I guess I'm okay with Arya. But not to say much about the rest of the list.
All right, guys. This now brings us to a massive topic. Jon Snow. So, do you want to go first or last with Jon?
Well, let's just keep bouncing off each other. I'll start it off.
Start it off.
Then. Okay. One of my favorite moments in the show is when he was crowned king in the North. And then that was taken away from me with episode 1 of the season, right? When everyone's like, we wanted the king in the North and we're not going to fight with you. And I was like, wow, that whole scene now is for nothing. And that, it used to give me goosebumps. I'd watch it. I get chills from that scene. I loved it. And that kind of took away from it, right? Then we go to this episode. Or, you know what, before we get to there, with Sam telling him, I got goosebumps from that. I'm like, wow, that is this is going to be great, I was just like, wow, like that's
holy shit.
It was a great scene.
He's a Targaryen.
The way he said, "You are a king. You've always been." Like that was awesome. Like and I know some people will be like, "Well, technically, he was doing what a king would do. Like he doesn't have to actually sit on the throne to be king." Get out of here. And then this episode comes along, and he kills Daenerys. All right, whatever. And then he gets put in a cell, and then you'd think that the council would, they would all say his lineage. Did anybody think to say Jon's lineage during that? Did they say it? I don't even think they said it, right? Did no one mention? You're telling me that Bran made it. I know you're gonna say he was scheming, but you're telling me Bran said it was so important to tell him who he was. Then I guess I'll just be king. What?
Yeah, but they knew Jon didn't want it. They knew he didn't
whatever.
want it. So
Neither
did
did
waste it bringing it up.
Bran. It's just, and then they sent him to the wall to fight who? There's no one of the wildlings are on his side now, and the White Walkers are gone.
But they don't know what else is out there. They didn't know the White Walkers were out there.
It's literally they even say it's like the fatherless and the bastards need a place to go.
But then Jon said what all of us were thinking when Tyrion says you're going to go to the wall, to the Night's Watch, and Jon's like, there's still a Night's Watch. There's no reason for a Night's Watch. The threats are over. The wildlings are okay with the North now, and Jon could have kept that alliance if he was the king. I don't think they have any loyalty to Bran, and then you're going to send him to the wall, to the wall. There goes his character arc. There goes him coming back to life. There goes him saying my watch has ended. There goes him being crowned king of the North, being prophesized to be the king of the Seven Kingdoms. All of it. 10 years. Gone. For what?
So let's just point out something very crucial that did happen this episode, though. Ghost got his pats, got his good boy pets. So it is confirmed that Ghost has been and has always been a good boy. We all knew it in our hearts, but now at least the show confirmed it.
Thank God they gave us closure with all the memes.
But at the end of the day, for Jon Snow, trying to stick as much to just what happened in the finale as possible. I do think the whole Aegon Targaryen reveal was over so quick. I get that they want to do this whole Game of Thrones. We're not going to go where you're expecting us to go, but they did the whole he's the rightful heir, and it fizzled out so quick. To Ron's point, Jon Snow's our prisoner. Jon Snow's actually Aegon Targaryen. Everyone at that council knew it. Sansa knew it. Arya knew it. Sansa said it in 20 seconds to Tyrion. You know, it's like, keep this secret. Don't tell anybody. Tyrion, guess who Jon is? And then just didn't want to say, hey, you know what? The prisoner you have is actually the rightful king. That's the true Targaryen. Let him go. No, whatever. But I will say this, though. I did actually guess this right, what was going to happen to Jon. My only piece was I didn't think he was going to go back to Night's Watch. I thought he was going to refuse the crown. Everyone was going to figure out who he was, refuse it, and then go live over the wall where he was happiest with Ygritte.
Yeah.
And, you know, with the free folk, with his people.
Dead.
I know, but still, where he was at his happiest points, right? So I'm okay with him going over the wall and living out his days there. I just don't think the whole Night's Watch thing was necessary, because it looked like at the end of it, he's not staying with them. You know, he ran out with Tormund and Ghost and all the wildlings. He didn't stay at Castle Black. They closed that down. He looked like he was going off to live his life outside the wall.
Were they trying to say that he's going to be the king beyond the wall? I don't know.
I just think at this point, I would have liked it better if Jon Snow was just Jon Snow. He wasn't Aegon Targaryen. And if he wasn't the king, or wasn't the true rightful heir, then it wouldn't have mattered that he went over the wall. Like, that whole he's the rightful king thing was totally unnecessary. It was just a plot point to cause everyone to bandwagon against Daenerys, to cause her to go crazy, because Bran has been plotting this entire show. Since Bran became
Blan's probably a better name for him.
Three-eyed raven, Bran has been plotting.
Yeah.
Nick, what do you think about Jon Snow?
Here's the thing. I really liked... I'm totally fine with where Jon Snow ended up. Like Chris said, I kind of had like my suspicions that he was going to go back to be with the wildlings, to be with Ghost, who is a good boy.
The good boy.
Good boy. Always a good boy. I really liked the fact that he was sentenced to the Night Watch, but then he just... when he got back there, he's just like, this isn't me. I can't do this. And he chose to leave. And there wasn't any restraint from that. It seemed like all the other brothers of the Night's Watch were kind of understanding and felt like he needs to go. He knows he needs to go.
They didn't even have any dialogue up there, though.
Did they even have any Night's Watch guys? It was just Tormund.
But there wasn't any dialogue. He just walked off.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. They didn't need the dialogue, because you just know, like, oh, they respect him enough to let him go.
Honestly, at that point, I don't even think I was really even watching anymore. I was just looking. Listen, I'm glad you liked it, because you're feeling so much better than I am right now. I'm probably not going to be able to sleep tonight. But, like, at that point, I just couldn't... It was like that Indiana Jones movie with the flying saucer. I just couldn't believe what I was looking at. And I didn't even notice that there were Night's Watch. I just thought he was leaving.
I know he was with two people. I know you saw some wildlings. I honestly don't remember seeing any Night's Watchmen either up there. I know two led him into the castle. I think they wanted you to focus on Tormund that was there, and obviously the ghost pets. But at the end of the day, Jon Snow, Aegon Targaryen, going to live his days past the wall.
Another spinoff I would like to see.
Jon and Tormund?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Jon, Tormund, and Ghost, like a buddy cop comedy, like
oh my god,
breaking up law, like making laws.
Looking forward to
taking names in the wildling camps.
All right, any last words on Jon before we go to wrap up?
Yeah, every single scene that used to give me goosebumps with Jon will not anymore, because I know it's going nowhere. That's my biggest regret with Jon. It's like what did you do?
A lot of So this is actually a good jumping point. So now we're just kind of going to talk about any random other comments about the episode or character arc, etc. So one thing I'm very disappointed that I didn't get to see in this episode, because we're not going to get any more episodes, is when they're at the small council table and Bran said he was going to go find Drogon, which obviously meant he was going to warg into him or something near him to see what Drogon was up to. They just said, he's going west or east. Let him go. I would have loved it if they at least showed us something, maybe like him with dragon eggs in, like maybe they could show like a skeleton, so that would be like Daenerys' corpse with dragon eggs like littered around it, like he's having new dragons.
How about this? This would be pretty cool, actually. This would be the only way to somehow stick the landing. He lays her on the ground. He lays his eggs on top of her and then lights her up.
Well, she can't burn.
I know, but he needs fire. Oh yeah, that's right. She can't burn. No, but she's dead already. So there's already blood coming out of her.
So because she's dead, she would.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and she's already bleeding. So and then he just lights it up, and then
They hatch.
yeah, I get. Listen, it's just such a train wreck at this point. It'd be like
I would like that. I would have loved to see dragon babies because to me it seemed like it's just. I mean, it's over.
and then like it roars like it did in the. But then it would just be like a nostalgia for the first season.
It's over
when it was good.
I would actually like that. I would have liked that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just speak out random comments. Random.
Go ahead, Nick.
I had a couple at the very end, like a couple nice notes that tied back to previous. I was a little disappointed we never got to hear Tyrion's badger and a honeycomb, and where he brings the badger and the honeycomb into the brothel. I thought we were gonna. I was getting so excited.
I remember when we saw it.
I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I really like Sir Podrick because huge fan of Podrick.
Hell yeah.
Great character.
MVP.
Never got to find out what he did to those girls though.
Oh, you know what he did. He dicked down.
Or he sang. He had a good singing voice too. But he's a knight now, which I think is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, there were a couple other little callbacks throughout the episode.
I think at the end of the day, something we can all agree on is that it should have been at least 10 episodes.
Yes.
It should not have been 6.
Way
the
too
show
quick.
deserved more. As a humongous fan, I'm looking forward to the books. Hopefully George can do a good job kind of filling in the blanks that the show rushed at the end. I'm going to miss it. I don't think there's ever going to be a show like it again. No. And
I'll always love the show, but it was a beautiful, amazing plane that crashed and burned for me. That's what happened to me.
I think there's a lot of people are upset with what happened. I don't think there's going to be few and far between that are going to say that the whole season was great. I'm not a big hater of it, but I wish some things ended differently. Obviously, as I'm wearing my Targaryen shirt.
And it's not even like I'm not trying to say like there's all those people like you didn't get the ending you wanted. Well, why don't you write the show? And I'm not saying that I want to write the show. All I'm saying is that the show used to have a formula. Like I didn't like the fact that the Red Viper died. Okay, but I was good with it because it made sense. Do you understand? One of my favorite characters died, but it was great. Red Wedding, perfect. Like, yeah, I didn't want to see Robb Stark die, but I understood why he died, and I thought it was brilliant, okay? Ned Stark, I didn't want to see Ned go, right? But I understood why it happened, whereas you got Daenerys, Jon, all of them in this season, and yeah, sure, I didn't like what happened to them, but I especially didn't like it because it didn't make sense to me. And that's what that drives me. Like, write whatever you want, just make sure it makes sense. Something happens, there's a consequence, right? You don't get a consequence without a cause, and you don't get a cause without a consequence. That's what drove me nuts. But, what can I say? I mean, it had a good run, and I'll always love the show.
Always love the show.
Just, the ending. Oh, my God. Whatever.
But, I mean, any other comments you want to send this off?
No, but if you like what you guys see, we're going to do lots of these with other things. I think we have. Could I say it? I think we're going to do an Infinity War 1. We're a little late on that, but we just got the channel up and going, so I think that'll be next. And if you guys want to hear more Game of Thrones exclusives, comment, and we could do them. Reviews of particular episodes. I could talk about the show all day.
I know, we can do a character review.
I could talk about it forever. So if you guys like our opinions or don't like our opinions, whatever, and want to see more, agree to disagree. So, whatever you guys want.
Please comment below. Let us know what you think about what happened in the episode. If you agree with us, disagree, anything like that, please. All comments are appreciated. And please make sure to...
What's that? Oh, yeah. Now, like and subscribe and all that.
Live streaming.
Yeah, share the video with your friends, and we're going to, again, post as many videos as we can on this channel. The first official video.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
It's good
Did
stuff.
it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you guys later.